Paramedic Jason Kalahar sees a lot in his job.
A lot of people ask me, like, how do you deal with seeing horrible injuries or, cardiac arrest or stuff like that? People that are asking that question are looking at it through a lens of the graphics, like, oh, their bones are sticking out and stuff like that. Well, us as paramedics and EMTs, we look at that as treatment options. So we don't see the grotesque things that are happening. We see the treatment modalities that we need to follow, and we see the treatment path.
Now imagine having to communicate that treatment path not in your native language.
Somebody who calls 911 and then the professionals get there and they aren't able to communicate with them, I can't imagine the level of stress and anxiety that increases because of that.
¿Algún problemas médicos?
My Spanish isn't perfect. I would consider myself a strong intermediate, but I'm comfortable stepping into that situation and struggling through my Spanish sentences, and they appreciate it greatly.
They see the compassion in his face, the fact that he knows Spanish so well and that they can communicate with him. It definitely adds a level of calmness to the back of the ambulance and stuff in an already hectic scene.
Jason was so committed to making sure he could connect with the Adams County Spanish community. In January of 2019, he went to Costa Rica to learn the language better. He worked as a paramedic for a private ambulance company with old ambulances and old stations, but what an experience it was.
And the traffic is horrible down there. So you would basically run a call, it would take forever to get to the call, you'd transport to the hospital, you wouldn't be able to get back to your station because the traffic was so bad, so you get another call. And I would go 12 hours without eating at a time, and that was normal. I wanted to complain, but I could see that my coworkers were never complaining. They were just laughing and just constantly drinking coffee. Costa Ricans love their coffee. I started getting on that boat too, just to kind of stay up with everybody.
But as crazy as the schedule was, there was some amazing moments.
Costa Ricans are just such beautiful, nice people. I remember 3 separate occasions after being done with a call like that we didn't transport. The family made us coffee and we had cake at their table, and we just sat there and talked, and while we drank our coffee, and they were always super curious of me because I'm like this American boy down there, from the United States, and they're like, what are you doing here? We'd go back in service and make sure our radios were on, and we'd just sip coffee and talk to the family, and that was a normal thing. Like, I remember the first time it happened being like, don't we have to go somewhere? And they're like, if we get a call, we'll leave.
In the meantime, Jason was accepting his Spanish didn't have to be mistake-free.
I just blurted out what I thought was accurate as far as the Spanish, and most of the time people could figure out what I was talking about, and most of the time I could figure out what they were talking about to me, and it got better in the sense that I became more comfortable knowing that I am messing up. People know that I don't speak Spanish, so they just appreciate that I have tried.
Jason made countless friends in Costa Rica, from the woman he lived with who didn't know any English to his fellow paramedics who he still keeps in touch with.
Hola. Hola, Hector.
And in the end, it was an experience he'll hold on to forever.
They always wondered why an American was down working for an ambulance company, and I always told them it is to learn Spanish. I wanted to fully immerse myself in a language and learn it that way, but I came out learning a lot more.